Hello, everyone, and I hope you're having a great day. Welcome to the Seeking Heaven channel. I'm Tamara Caulder Richardson. I'm your host, as well as a six-time near-death experiencer, evidential psychic medium, and channeler of Christ and ultra-dimensional beings. And I'm glad you're here today. We have a wonderful guest. I'm going to get into it, and you're going to love this guest. We're going to be talking today about angels in the higher celestial realm, so you don't want to miss it. All right, real quick, just want to mention my Ascension School, Academy of Divine Wisdom. Sign up. It's free. That way we can be in touch with one another. I don't send out a lot of mail, so it's cool, but I will be offering some classes to heighten your intuition and superpowers, and also teaching light code language. This is also, I have some free items and paid for items already on there, so you can check that out. And if you're interested in an evidential psychic medium reading, I also do Life Path, then you can look at the southernbellmedium.com. And then, I do offer starseed services, but that's on my Academy of Divine Wisdom. I guess I should have mentioned that earlier, but I do transmissions and activations and your galactic and earth mission. And then we have my Seeking Heaven channel store. Check that out. You can pick your custom t-shirts or merchandise, and I've designed several one-of-a-kind designs for you, especially starseeds and angelics. And then if you haven't subscribed to the channel, tell your friends, share, and make comments. And especially I want you to make comments today. I want to know if you've had any angel experiences. So I'm going to bring on right now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. And I have been really excited today. If you follow her on Facebook, and I'm talking about Karen Holton, if you follow her, you're going to see she really has touched my heart with her. It's almost like poetry, the way that she communicates about angels and ultra-dimensional beings, and you might want to call them aliens. She is just a natural conduit. She's so beautiful, but she has a couple books out. We're going to talk about that. And she also has a very popular YouTube channel where she does talk about aliens and angels, and I'm going to be on there Sunday, so you're going to have to see my episode. But I want to bring her in. We're going to talk about this episode, angels. The next episode, we're going to talk about her contact with aliens and, and with who and what, and how did that happen? So make sure you see that too. So I'm going to bring on Karen. Karen, welcome.
Hi, Tamara. So lovely to be here. I've really looked forward to meeting you, and I'm thrilled. I'm just thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. I have been really excited about this too, because I think that you need to be brought forward. You're a very bright, shining light, especially during this ascension and also with this disclosure. And we need to talk about also post disclosure, which we'll talk about in the next one, because that's where you have a lot of natural, great understanding about the cohabitation of humans and other life forms working together in harmony. So I wanted to first talk about your angel experiences. I do want to mention your books. But we can do that toward the end. We could do that toward the end, and then you could talk about that, which will be a great segue. So let's go ahead and go into the angel aspects of it. And I wanted to find out, it's funny, I saw your thing. Was it Facebook? What is the name of the page? Is it Alien?
I have four. I have the Quantum Guide Show. I have
Okay.
Karen Holton Healthcoach.com. I've got Zendone's Orgonite. I sell orgone generators from my website,
Oh,
and then I have vials. So I have four plus Karen Holton. And I'm at Karen Holton TV on all the social media platforms, including YouTube.
yeah, you're all over the place. So you're making your way. You said you said so cute. You go, I don't know technology much, but here you go. You've got two books. You've got them on the Kindle. You've got them, you know, uh, all these different platforms to get yourself out there. So well done on that. That's a good example of people that want to come out and do things. This is how you do it. You just get out there and you just start doing it. So I want to
Mhm.
ask you about the angels. Before we go into that, maybe this might be good because people learn from my guest. Well, I learn from them. Because we learn from each other. Did you have a religious background? No religious background? What was your thought processes before you started having these experiences?
That's very interesting because even from a young age, I was having paranormal experiences. And the first thing I did was go to my family to try to find out what was going on. And the message from my parents was very clear: do not talk about this. People will think you're crazy. And it was like I couldn't talk about it and I had nowhere to turn. So I started going to church, and it didn't matter what church I went to, the pastor or the priest would always tell me that this was evil, that this was from Satan, that these were demons, that I was opening myself up to a world of woe. And so then, like within the family, I was like perceived as being mentally ill. And then from the different religions, I was perceived as being evil. So it was really, really difficult. But I kept going to churches and eventually ended up in a fundamentalist religion. And I had to shut this all down. I even
Oh, Karen.
got on pharmaceutical pills from psychiatrists because I thought I was
Oh,
crazy or evil. Like I had no one to validate my experiences. And I have nothing against religion. If religions are working for you, fantastic. But it didn't work for me. And it wasn't until I left religion for good, because religions for me were too small. Their
mm,
thinking and their paradigm was way too small.
mhm,
I needed something bigger.
mhm,
And it wasn't till I had
mhm.
the courage to leave. And that was difficult because it was a shunning religion. I lost all my community, I lost everything. And but then this other world opened up to me, Tamara. So, all good. I'm happy.
Oh, no, I'm so sorry that you went through that. And matter of fact, a lot of people, this is unfortunately a common story, which is very sad. Oh, and it's Tamara, by the way. It's like a long version of Tammy, but just not a big deal. But people pronounce it different
Oh,
ways.
did I say it? Did I say it
Okay.
wrong? How
No,
did I
it's
say
okay.
it?
It's Tamara, like Tam, the accents of Tam. But anyway,
Oh,
um,
Tamara rather
yeah,
than
but that's okay. I
Tamara.
was like, I'm
Okay.
sorry, I didn't tell
Oh,
you. We should have
oh, good.
ironed that out beforehand. Sorry.
No, I'll do my
Uh,
best to say it properly.
no, that's all right. Um, but yeah, same with me. I went to the church. I'm not against that. I adore and love Jesus, Sananda, Yeshua, whatever you want to call. I adore him, but he's not the church. Uh, you know, and I couldn't get messages either. And then when I had all these abilities, there's no way. And then they have people that have natural intuitive abilities, which is our natural thing. And other planets, they speak in telepathy, which I know we're going to go on angels, so I don't go too far down this road. But even angel experiences, anything that's out of the norm or paranormal, doesn't have to be spooky. It can be a beautiful experience. They I think it's their own fear and their own misunderstanding. And plus, churches have an agenda. I mean, it's a business at the end of the day, and they have a message that they want to communicate, which is why I encourage everybody, if you love the teachings of Christ, just go directly to him. Actually, he loves talking to everybody. He is so funny. He has got a great sense of humor, and he loves talking to people. And I encourage, automatic writing. And it may take a while to hear that, but everything we need is within. um, and it's good that you mentioned this, because there's probably a lot of people who have been right through that same road, including me. And matter of fact, um, some of us older models went through a lot more than the new ones now, and they don't. And people that are maybe teenager 20s 30s, they may not understand this, but the older models, we were persecuted. I mean, I'm just going to be
Mhm,
honest, we were persecuted.
mhm.
Now is a time that is starting to be very liberating, that we could not talk about such things. But I learned early on as a kid to not say anything for that reason that you said, crazy and all that. And which is sad. I shut it down. So guess what? You can talk about it now. You can talk about it as much as you want to. And you can talk about it as much as you want here, which is so great to finally get that delayed support and love and appreciation. So, all right. So, as far as angels, were you a child when you started seeing them? What was that like?
Well, nothing that I could identify as an angel. I did have different entities appear to me. I'm not sure if they physically appeared or whether they were in my mind's eye. I'm not sure. I do believe that our imagination is actually technology. It's a portal.
Mhm.
And it's meant to make us available to different kinds of entities. But no, I didn't, because I didn't, nothing I could identify as angelic. But then what happened to me was I was in a state of very intense grieving. So it came out of pain and suffering, my angelic experience, and it only happened to
Really?
me once. Yeah. And so basically, long story short, my children went to live with their father, who had remarried. We'd been divorced for some
Mhm.
time. Then he prevented me from seeing them. And I was so heartbroken without my children. I was just grieving to the most painful level I had ever been.
Oh,
Now,
Karen.
what's interesting, I got
Mm,
to give you a little backstory. So I
mhm.
had moved into this little place, and I didn't know that the man who lived there before me had committed suicide in a very specific way in that house.
I know where you're
And
going
when
with
my
this. Okay. Oh,
frequency dropped so low,
mm.
I somehow tapped in or was imprinted by the energy residue that he had left in the home. And then I wanted to also off myself and commit suicide. And it
Oh
was the very
my
same
god.
way. Now, I didn't know about this till 2 years later, when I met a woman who was friends with this guy's mother. And she
Mhm.
asked me where I lived, and I told her, and she says, "Oh my God, do you know what happened to the man that lived in that house?" And she told me. So I didn't know this. All I knew is that I was getting this overwhelming urge to off myself. And then the night before I was
Yeah.
going to do it, that's when I had my angelic experience. So it was divine intervention, because apparently I have a purpose, a greater purpose
Oh, yes, you
to
do.
being here. And
Yes.
that is when I had my angelic visitation.
Oh, God is so good. Okay, good. So I want to go back before we get into this angel stuff because, and thank you for being so raw and sharing because that's touching hearts and healing. Because so many people that watch the Seeking Heaven channel are just like you. Actually, I'm getting really high through my crown chakra. So when that happens, is the angels going, yes, 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 it's healing. Yes, yes, yes. Um, I tell people all the time it's very important to have your GPS, which is your intuition, going because I'll go in a place and I feel the place, the people, and everything, even objects. I'm like, don't pick it up because they're encoded with people's, energy, especially antiques.
Yes.
I'm like, and if there's a comb with hair in it from like the Civil War, don't touch it. That's awful. Um, but
Yeah.
but you're right. These places can have encoded. And what I found was the guy Ghost. Did he cross over?
Yeah, he did. He was successful in his attempt, and
Okay,
then
good.
I moved in there. Then I had this horrible experience. I was in just such a low vibrational state that I was imprinted, and it took basically my energy matched what his
Oh
was,
my.
and that's why it's so important to keep your frequency high,
Yes.
where the lower vibrational stuff can't reach you. So it was night. Sorry, go ahead.
And I just want to make a comment here because this is so important because a lot of this is just my experience. A lot of, if you want to call them new agers, new thinking, whatever it may be, I don't know the word. Uh, they think that everything is love and light. And I tell them we're in this reality of duality. And even in like Star Trek or Star Wars, there's always, beautiful planet of people or beings, they grow food, but then here's some nefarious whatever coming. So we have to be astute to these things. And one thing that I've noticed, I don't tell people this much, but many years ago, a ghost hunt just to see if I could read the area, read the people. Well, I had all the ghosts tell me the history, what was going on. But what I find is when there's a low vibrational incident, whatever that is, suicide, murder, it could be a home break-in, whatever it may be, it unless it's cleansed out, that energy just permeates into it and lowers the vibration. What I also find, because the archons love feeding off of that energy, now you have a demonic attachment to that place. So that's when the angels show up because they have breached the contract of someone coming in. It's not their free will. They're slamming them, and so the angels, I'm telling you, they come in to help, don't they?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So, basically, what happened was, they appeared to me as though they didn't appear in human form, but they appeared to me very much on a physical level that I could see with my eyes, like an overlay to what my eyes were seeing in my 3D reality. And I don't know if it was an it or a they, but it looked like 1,000 points of light, and light flashing out the sides, and
Mm.
they gave them the appearance of wings. And when the entity or entities spoke to me, it was like 1,000 voices in perfect unison and perfect harmony spoke as one voice. It was very, very, very profound. I get into that in my book in great detail. And so they asked me, I'll just use the word they because it was huge.
Mhm.
They said to me, why do you want to leave? And I said, because life is not supposed to be so painful. I can't bear the pain. I can't
Mhm.
bear the pain. I don't want to be alive if this is what it means.
Mm.
And they told me that there actually are exit points that we can take
Yeah,
if our
that's true.
lives become
Yeah,
unbearable. And like a lot of religions teach that there's no forgiveness from suicide, but according
that's
to
so
the
true.
angels, we are loved no matter what. Like
Oh,
their
yes.
love is so unconditional.
Oh, it's
There's
beautiful.
nothing we can do to break that bond. And they're all around us. And all we have to do is reach out. And we might feel silly, but we just call out with our voice, I need you near me. I need your help. And they're there.
Beautiful.
They're always, always there. They're completely unconditional. So they said, well, what would it take for you to stay and keep doing the work that you have
Yeah.
in your future? And I said, well, I don't know, but I definitely
Oh,
need
you're
some
so
help.
cute.
I'm not big enough or strong enough to do this on my own. And so they said to me, well, how about we'll give you a gift? And I said, well, what kind of a gift? Like who first of all has contact with angels? I'd never met anybody before. And
Right.
then who gets offered a gift? Like I was blown away. And I said, well, I don't know what I want, but can I think about it? And they said, yeah, absolutely. When you're ready, you just tell us and it's yours, but you have to choose your gift. And the next day, I was in awe. I mean, I just was in awe because then it was over and they were gone and that was it. And I started going for long walks. Obviously, I didn't off myself. I started going for long walks. I was thinking about all the things like, what would I need as a gift? What would I need? And I thought, money. If I had a lot of money, I could hire a lawyer. I could get my kids back. I could give them a
Right.
good life. But then I knew that wasn't what I needed. I went, no, no, that's not it. That's not it. I
Mhm.
thought, well, maybe if I was really famous and really popular. I mean, I know these are foolish things, but this is how my
Well,
mind
people
works.
think no, everybody thinks these crazy things, but we know if we're spiritually aware, we know that's just not the answer. It's a quick
And
fix.
yeah, and I thought, well, if I was really popular and really famous, maybe then I'd have influence and I'd be able to get my kids back. And then I went, no, no, that's not it. That's not it. And I thought, I kept thinking of all these things, and I knew none of them were right. And then I remembered the story of King Solomon in the Bible, and
Mhm.
I went, sorry, it's gonna make
Oh,
me cry.
it's wonderful.
So I went, I know what I need. I need wisdom because if I have wisdom, I can make my life important. I can make my life matter.
Ooh, good
I'll know
choice.
how to get my kids back. If I
Oh, that's
have
beautiful.
wisdom, I can make myself and like have a purpose to being here, a higher purpose. I needed wisdom, and that's what I asked for. And then this is the really weird part. Sorry for getting emotional on your show. This
No,
is
no, I think this is I mean, I'm trying not to cry too. I mean, that is such a beautiful heartfelt thing was if you have the, divine wisdom guiding you, I mean,
Yeah, I can't go
how can you go
wrong.
wrong?
Yeah. And so, but then this is the really weird part. And I heard it as clear as day. I was asked, Karen, do you want the quick method or the slow method? And in
What,
my,
getting wisdom? Are you
yeah,
serious? Oh, this
yes, yes. And in my excitement, I said, oh, I want the quick method. Now, me, because I was very naive, I thought they would just pour the wisdom into me and I'd become
Yeah,
wise.
that sounds
But
good.
that's not how it worked. How it worked is the slow method was the gentle path
Yes.
to take me to wisdom, and I picked the fast method, which was very
Oh.
intense. So it didn't mean that I didn't have huge challenges. It meant that the huge challenges were just one after another, after another, after another. And I get into that a little bit in my book. And
Mhm.
because you see, only through actual experience and life journey are we able to learn true wisdom. And so I had to learn it. And so all these challenges kept coming and coming. And there were times where I went, oh, Karen, you should have picked the slow method. But then I thought, well, no, I wanted to learn and I didn't want to waste, like I was already 41 years old. I didn't want to waste any more time. So all these challenges, boom, 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 happened to me. But long story short, I ended up getting my kids back within less than a year. I ended up getting in education. I ended up learning so much that I never could have learned it without these challenges. But the difference was I knew I wasn't alone, and
Mm.
I learned profound and deep lessons from each of these challenges. And I'm not sorry for any of them. In retrospect, it
Mm.
went exactly how it was supposed to go.
Well, let me just tell you, I've read your post, and we get a lot of data out there in this world, right? Everywhere we turn is data, data, data. You made me stop and tear up, and you have more than wisdom. You have God's wisdom, and that's powerful, right? So yeah, I know we're a creation of God, and I know we can co-create with God. We are not God. We are not God. But God, the power, the source of all things, is pretty awesome. And but you have love in your heart, and you have a sense of purity and hope, and there's a gentleness, and just your presence, how you are right now, and your writing, it stopped me. It stopped me in my tracks because it spoke to my humanity. And which we're going to talk about in part two, but we've got to learn to have our humanity before we can bring bring on other beings. And some
Mhm.
of us are growing up and we're getting spiritually mature, and some are not even close. So I don't know
Mhm.
how honestly that's going to work out. But God's got a plan. I'll say that. So I know it's going to work well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I just don't know how it's gonna shake out is what I'm trying to say. I believe it's all gonna go in God's perfect plan. We're gonna have the contact. We're gonna maybe it's gonna, like your example, maybe humanity is gonna get worse, like you said, before it got better, and maybe that's what it's gonna take. I don't know. I don't know these things. But,
Mhm.
so you picked that's so cute. You picked the fast track. I did too. I had 6 near-death experiences, and people go, "Why?" Well, I came back with a lot of gifts. I came back. I hung out with Jesus for a long time, and I talked to him now, and he lines up saints and ultra dimensionals. Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of benefit out of that. I have things that I've experienced that the same thing. So you do. You have a choice. Don't you think that souls have a choice coming in general, a fast track or a slow track?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I keep telling people I'm not anybody special. If this could happen for me, it can happen for everybody. And indeed, we're all capable of having these things happen. And and so what I'm hoping is, like for instance, when people buy my book, I don't and read my book, I don't expect them to believe me, but what I do hope is that they will walk away from the book more secure and more on track, and that their journey is less cumbersome, and they can be more peaceful in their resolve to learn to love, and to learn that we need to love each other, and to learn from my experiences, because I think they're kind of inspiring. They sure inspired me anyway.
Well, and also, it wasn't, you gotta I understand it as, and maybe our words are so insufficient, but there's an order to things in heaven as on earth, even in other planetary system. There's an order and a system, and uh, this really wasn't your free will. You just kind of got tricked into this whole lower vibration. Did you ever get a clearing of that home, that space, or did you do it just by the angels? The angels could have done it that night.
I don't know. After that, I was not bothered at all
They
from
cleared it.
being in that house, and I wasn't
Yeah.
there really that long before I moved. But what was interesting is that I met this woman 2 years later, and she told me what happened. I had no way of knowing that, no way of knowing. And then to get that kind of
Mhm.
confirmation and realize, I really like everything. My whole life is just a big lesson, one lesson after another. And then when I get it, I go, aha. And then what I like about being an older person is I can look at my history. I can realize where I made mistakes. I could see the learnings. I can let that stuff go, and I can course correct today and make tomorrow better. So my life just gets better and better and better. And I think that's important for people to know that we can do that.
You know what it really intrigues me about you, Karen, is that you have what I deem as important traits. And I think Jesus would too. And he's just saying, I do, is that you have a humility and a reverence to God, the divine, the order, your lessons, and even despite all the things you've been through, you have gratitude. So there's a humility, and that's something that, I mean, it's a choice, but it's also a choice of how you want to perceive and look at things and not lie in that anger or bitterness. Because if you do, you're just hanging up yourself and everybody else. But you have these qualities that I don't really see in a lot of people. I got to be honest. I don't really see people that have grace, if we want grace and mercy, which are the angels, right? They're all about that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then we need to also offer grace and mercy. What does that mean? Well, I don't know. I mean, we've seen people, we know they're screwing up. We know that. And then, we can gently not evaluate or judge because they have to go through it, but we can gently support them. And
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? And because they're going to learn. So, like we've all had to learn. And that's so when you had that, you said it kind of hit me when you said they talked in unison. Because think about it, if you're in a perfect order and you're at the higher ranks of God, you're one mind. You're right. You're
Mm-hmm.
one mind. You're one mind to serve, humanity or whatever the task is at that time.
Yeah.
And when you said they spoke in unison, I've had them sing to me in unison a couple of
Mm-hmm.
times, and
Mm-hmm.
and it felt like a lot of them. And that's just so beautiful. They were there for you and how you had that conversation. So, what did they look like when you saw the angels? You said it was glowing light, several glowing light forms with
It was
light?
like it was like an overlay over my what I was seeing with my vision. And it was like 1,000 points of light. And light was flashing out the sides, giving them the illusion of wings. So they didn't appear in human form. They appeared as points of light with light flashing out. And it was very beautiful, very captivating. And I mean, I was sitting in my bedroom on my bed. I had been crying my eyes out. It wasn't like I wasn't like in Las Vegas or even outside to see the stars or anything like that. This was a definitely a projection somehow onto my three-dimensional reality. And it was very beautiful. I wasn't afraid at all. And when the voices all started to speak, I was just kind of surprised. I was like
Mhm.
spellbound because I was like, what? Like just completely immersed in the experience. And I'd never had any experience like that before or since then. This was very unique and very special. And I was going to make the best use of it I could because, like, come on, who has these experiences? I'd never heard of anyone having this experience, so wasn't drawing on fantasy or science fiction or anything. Like
Right.
this was amazing, and I'm eternally grateful.
Well, it sounds like that it was a pivotal point, one of your spiritual pivotal points. What was the frequency you felt when they showed up? Did it change the atmosphere? What did it feel like? What was the emotional level?
I don't know. I was just in awe. I was just in complete awe and super alert and paying attention.
Okay. Did they feel loving? Did they feel, or was it just powerful?
Just powerful. I don't know. I,
Mhm,
I didn't
mhm.
I didn't feel emotionally one way or another. It wasn't the same as when I'm around ETs, which is a very loving, powerfully loving sensation I get. It
Yes.
was just wow, it was just immersive, completely immersive.
Oh, I like the way that you mentioned that. Yeah. Well, I've had to, it's awful, deliverances or dark things. I've had to call in Michael and the angels. And when he shows up in the others, especially when it's like necessary, like it's like not like just like now, like I need right now. It's like it's hard to explain, but the frequency of the room all of a sudden it feels like my heart races and it feels powerful. That's
Hmm.
what so, and just to think we have that available to us because 'cause they're here to serve us,
Hmm.
which I know we don't feel really probably worthy of that, but that's what God wants, we're here to assist, which is why he probably got kinda, or she got ticked off, when some didn't follow along with what he wanted because they do work in unison. So when, I wanna be able to go into, the aliens, the next segment, but I do want to wrap up what you think angels are and their purpose, just to kind of put closure on the whole angel topic. Um, what do you think their purpose is? Do you feel like that um, we're in a spiritual war now? And if so, what are they doing? Like, what's their purpose?
Hmm. Well, I do believe that there are different kinds of angels with different purposes. I do believe they're in another realm that we call heaven,
Hmm.
that they're interdimensional, that they can appear as anything they want to appear of as. They can appear very solid, three-dimensional as humans. They can appear in whatever way suits the situation the best, I believe. But they can also dematerialize back into their own realm as well. And so I don't know what kind of angel. Funny thing is that a few years later, I felt their presence, but kind of in the periphery or in the background of my awareness. And I kept getting these kind of feelings that the angel was blowing a horn, and I thought that was really strange, so I looked it up, and that's Gabriel has the horn. So I feel that it may have even been Gabriel the archangel, and I'm not saying oh he's my own, I'm his only one. I'm sure he's appeared a million different ways to a million different people, but I just get the sense that that's why would that blowing a horn keep coming up and coming up and coming up until I got it. And then I realized that the archangels have seasons. And so the winter season, which is from December 21st till March 21st, that is Gabriel's season. And so I decided that I would be of service to Gabriel in any way that he or she or it sees fit every year for the rest of my life, and it's
Oh,
been very interesting, that journey. No 2 years are the same. Some years it was service, like I just get a calling to go out at 2 o'clock in the morning, and there'd be somebody who was weeping, sitting at a bus stop or something, and I just go and sit with them. Like I don't know, it's almost
mhm,
like I was affecting the quantum reality just by going out and doing these things that I
mhm,
was just had the urge to do. I can't even explain it. Other years, it's been working on my family and our intergenerational dysfunction and correcting that. And it's like correcting the timeline. And once we correct the timeline, the future timeline that comes from that is altered forever. It never goes back. So it's really important that we deal with dysfunctional, intergenerational dysfunction. Some years, this season that I've just come through now, it's all been about conquering my own fear, being brave and courageous to get my book out there, to share that with other people. For me, that was very terrifying. But I needed to do that, push that boundary and push my comfort zone. So it's different every year. And this has been going on. I don't remember the exact date, but this has been going on for more than 25 years that I've
Are
been
you serious
working.
with Gabriel?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, yeah.
I love this. Okay, I'm going to stop right here because this is a cool concept. So basically, you're like, okay, so it must be you. So, hey, let's go into partnership,
I just
right?
want to be I just want to be of service, and I dedicate my life for those 3 months every year. I just dedicate my life. That
That
is my
is
primary purpose for
so
three
sweet.
months.
Well, you're
Mhm.
considered, I mean, whether you believe it or not, it doesn't really matter, but you're considered an earth angel because anytime someone's spending that time just to be of service, I've always make a joke and say, well, I'm in partnership with Jesus. He doesn't really tell me everything. Sometimes the angels were, sometimes my guides, but of course they work in the perfect order of all things. But I'm told stuff and sometimes I don't understand them, like, why? And then I kinda go, like, "I don't get it," and we gotta go back and forth with that for a while. But you're right, when you listen, it works better when you're guided and instructed because this world, I think, can be complicated, and it helps. So, it's funny you partner up. I knew my angel and my near-death experience was Uriel. I had to look who that I didn't know who that was for years. I had to look it up, but I think that we work with all of them based on our season, but I could
Mhm.
totally see you working with Gabriel because here you've had to come out and be an oracle. You're writing the book. This is not, as you were saying, your natural thing to do, but you feel really pushed. And so he's he works a lot with people that are oracles or that are stepping out. Um, and I think there's a real misconception that people that step out are comfortable with it because they're not.
No, no, not one bit.
Yeah, but you know what? It's a process. People don't realize it looks easy, like just getting on and talking, but a lot of these are personal stories. We're actually people, and it's challenging to come out and speak. Especially, I can say this. I'll say this. Um, I'm an older model too, and I could talk about human beings, and I worked so hard to not say what I was getting and seeing and all these multiple spiritually transformative experiences or whatever you want to call them. I worked so hard not to say anything that now I have a hard time sometimes opening up. It's not that I don't want to, it's just that it was so automatic shutting down for so long. Does that make sense to you? I have to
Oh,
work
yeah,
on it.
absolutely, absolutely. I work on it all the time.
Yeah.
But then I got to the point where I stopped caring what people think of me, and that was just a huge relief, where I don't have to be popular, people don't have to like me, they don't have to believe anything I say. I
It
mean,
is
if
okay.
they're wise, they will listen and take the gems that fit with them. But, if they wanna just like, I also believe in reincarnation. If they wanna come back and do the same old crap over and over and over again, well, who am I? Who
Karen,
am
you're
I to
funny.
interfere with their free will, you know?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I want to say something about you helping Gabriel the 3 months, which is really interesting concept. That's going to lead. I'm going to be thinking about that. That's really cool. But what I've found myself doing is helping people in the astral, and then physical people show up or write me and say you were doing this. Like I don't know them, but one thing that I'm told, and there's a 3-minute rule. Remember how you said you went to a bus stop and you were helping you intervene? You can also do it in the astral when people are thinking of this.
Mhm,
But I'm not saying one's better than the other. It's not. I'm just saying you can do that, especially if someone's like in Venezuela and you're not there. But I've been told there's a 3-minute rule. And I was told this by Uriel. There's a 3-minute rule. And I said, what does that mean? They said, I can go in the astral, I can stop an accident, I can talk to them, I can do whatever, but I can, make them think, I need ice cream. Don't go down that road. But
mhm,
it can't
mhm,
be over 3 minutes. And usually 3 minutes is kind of a long time if you
mhm.
think about it, but that's
Yeah,
enough time to convince someone something else. And so there's a sliver of a window which goes into what you were saying, changing timelines,
mhm.
right? And then if we
Mhm.
change our perspective on, say, a dysfunctional family or whatever it may be, or maybe there's hard feelings with a partner in the past, if we change it, then that changes the timeline for the other person. That's how I understand it. Is that how you understand it?
Yeah, I do. And what happens is then for the generations of our offspring, they don't have to carry that. They don't have to deal with it. They're free. I'm sure they've got other stuff they got to work on, but I'm just saying that particular issue is done. It's folded. It's no more. It's gone.
Okay, so I'm gonna make you feel even more uncomfortable than you do now, maybe. I'm sitting here and okay, look, we're talking about angels, so guess who's here today, okay? Do you feel them? They're like everywhere. I've been high talking to you, my crown chakra's like, "Doo," and I can always tell they're around because I start vibrating and I start feeling, it feels kind of good, like joy. That's what it feels like. And they're saying, yeah, you were given divine wisdom, but you also earned it. But they also are telling me to tell you that you're a wisdom teacher. Why are you not teaching? I'm sorry to do this.
No, I do teach, and that's why I
Okay.
have two podcasts. That's why I've
Okay.
published two books. That is how I teach.
Well,
I also have services available on my
okay,
website
good.
for people who want one-on-one.
Okay, good.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah, I
good.
do.
Okay, because 'cause they're saying that you're really good at that, you should come out and do even more of that, so I don't know, like, they told me that a while back on my ascension school, and I was, like, kind of fussed and fought them, but even more, how do I say, even more so come out on that because you're a natural, channel, for the divine to work through you, and that's great because I found not everybody, I mean, they should be, but, they should be, in theory, everybody should be, but sometimes people's egos get in the way. But with you, you're so good at this. I think, what they were saying is that that's a great idea to even do more of that because, yeah, all of it's education, all of it. You're
Mhm.
putting it all out there. But I love how you work with Gabriel. Like, I can't get over that. I think that's the coolest thing I've ever heard. Like, oh, I'll give you 3 months because that's your month. That's actually my birthday month, March. So, when's
Yeah,
your
happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just do the whole month, why not?
Yeah. My
I just
my
do the whole
birthday my birthday is in February. I'm
Okay.
Aquarius.
Oh,
Mhm.
Aquarius, okay, February,
Mhm.
okay, so, you have a good friend I've known since 15, and hers is in February, and I always called her she's my older friend because she's only 1 month older than me, so we have a joke about that. So, look, I wanna put your book up. I wanna move us into the next segment with aliens 'cause I can't wait because I got turned on to that and activated, and so, like, I love this topic. So, I want to talk about your book. Let me get that up so people can see it and you can tell them where to get it. You've got two. So the first one, tell us about this.
Transdimensional Meet the New Neighbors. So the first chapter, I talk about where I'm coming from, who I'm affiliated with, who I'm not affiliated with, make it real clear on my focus. Second chapter is all about my paranormal history and how I see the other realms, because I'm what I call a wide receiver. So I
Mhm.
can interface with many different realms of beings, and how I'm able to do that. And then I also get into the importance of love, because one of the things I learned from my angelic experiences is what is love? How does that manifest? How can I learn to love? And more importantly, how to love myself, because that's important first step before we can love other people. Then chapters 2 to 8 is all about my transdimensional experiences, which you'll hear about in the next segment. And that was a transdimensional experience. So I never had a spaceship come and beam me aboard, or grays come and take me, or anything like that. This always happens to me in a sleep state. And I'm very excited to tell you all about that. And then the last two chapters are on how to raise your frequency, how to become the change we want to see in the world, how to make ET contact for yourself, because this is something that's a skill that everyone can learn. And finally, the last chapter is what does ET think of us? And you might be surprised by the answer there. and then the conclusion. So that's this book here, and it's really important. Not that you don't have to believe me, but the lessons in there are really, really important for helping everyone on their journey, regardless of what that looks like while they're here on Earth.
Absolutely. And I want to give you another shout out that you don't see much that I love with you is storytelling. That's a lost art. And I think we need to go back. We have our own story. Yeah, we want the story to keep unfolding and we don't want to be stuck on chapter 3. We want to keep it going. But I mean, storytelling is entertainment, is better than TV, which generally sucks most of the time. Uh, 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 reading is good, but storytelling and sharing. And I love how you do a lot of that. We're going to talk more about this, more storytelling on things that have happened. And then you've got another book. This is brand new. So tell us about
Mhm.
that.
This one is called Transdimensional 2, Meet the Greys Picture Book. And in the first chapter, I talk about my own ET experience, what they're like everything from not only what they look like, but how they function, and what they're like to have as friends and to get to know. And also my experience with Bob the Grey. And Bob the Grey is like there are many, many different races and realities that have the Greys. And this particular guy, I call him Bob the Grey. That's not his real name, but we agreed that that would be okay for me to call him Bob the Grey. But how I met him, how he manifested in my life, how he helped me to eventually have ET contact. And then the whole rest of the book is images that I created working with AI. They're not selfies, they're created with AI. And I have a chapter on gray males, gray females, gray children, human looking grays, hybrid children. And the reason I was compelled to produce this book and have it published was because we're getting to the point where the fact that the Greys are here, are visiting our planet, are interacting with humans, that is going to be beyond debate very, very soon. And I don't want people to be afraid. I want them to see that we're all one species, we're just family lines. What the Greys have in common is their skin doesn't have the pigment necessary to reflect light in our visible light
Mm,
spectrum. So we see them all as grays, but they're actually
mm,
very different. All kinds of cultures. They're from physical space, they're from interdimensional spaces, and they have all kinds of agendas and ways of being. And so I think it's important for us not to think of them in human terms, but also not to follow the stereotypes. And then once you become familiar with the images in the book, then when they start showing up and you start seeing about them on the news and stuff, you're going to go, oh, I'm familiar with those. Okay, they're not that different than us. And it will take that fear and that shock away. And the reason I want people to not be afraid is because then they can keep their critical thinking skills, because there's a lot of
mhm.
propaganda on the medium, on the mainstream media, but also on the alt media. There's a lot of propaganda, and you need to be able to stay grounded and think for yourself and not be afraid.
No, that's true. That's true. Well, this is still part of that education. So you can check this out on Amazon. I have all the links below. And also, I wanted to mention that I'm also on your channel, Aliens and Angels, where I'll be talking about, we can talk about, the angels. We'll be talking about my Galactic Federation visits and my ET contact experience and some of my abduction. So, which sounds awful, but honestly, they weren't the problem. The aliens, it was the humans. Seriously,
Yeah.
they were. I mean, it's funny. You would probably understand that. Yeah. So, thank you so much, everybody. Connect with Karen Holden. Buy her books, connect with her on all her different things below that you can associate with her and follow her. So thank you so much, and make sure you watch the next episode. It's going to be explosive on aliens, ET contact, your experiences and stories. So please watch the next episode and share this with your friends. Thank you, Karen. Thank you. Bye. Please subscribe, like, and make comments, and support this channel by becoming a member. Thank you for your continued support.